The education industry is at the highest risk for layoffs over the next 6 months. This is a Fox Business article I hold in my hands. A survey of 600 chief financial officers that were surveyed by COPA, a cloud-based management platform, found that 100% of chief financial officers in the education sector, so that'd be private, public, you name it, responded with, we plan to reduce our workforce if a recession hits. So I want to point out that I don't do fear mongering on this show. I warn you when I feel I need to warn you. And every other time I'm just informing you. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm very confident based on what I'm hearing from big-time CEOs who are crunching the numbers and they're looking at long-term projections. I don't think we're going to hit a bad recession this year or next. I don't. Now that can all change. But as it sits today, I'm just telling you, stop clutching your pearls and biting your nails or whatever it is you do. We still have a very strong workforce economy right now. Okay? And I know you're hearing about layoffs, but again, that's about stock prices. So everybody relax. E-learning company Udemy cut 10% of its workforce, and Seattle Public Schools prepare for layoffs under a $130 million budget deficit. So you're going to see stories like this in the education sector. Does not mean that all these layoffs are going to happen, but it means if there's a decent recession, they may make these cuts. Zippia also did a study throughout the educational services industry, and their data shows 3.88 million people worked in education services in January of this year. Again, that's comprising teachers from elementary all the way up to college professors to workers in technical schools and other schools, along with any kind of support workers. So we're looking at the education industry, which is not limited to public schools. This is also including higher ed, college professors, and administrators. Now, here's what's interesting. This is on the heels of data that we've reported on the show recently that shows that college enrollment is down, including community college enrollment, which, again, is no surprise because you've got a lot of kids and a lot of parents kind of paying attention to what's going on, and the pandemic hits, and so they send everybody home, but then they keep charging you the same amount of tuition. Then these kids are looking at their older siblings, or they're looking at the parents and they're going, you know what? I could go get a 4-year degree that I can't afford. I got to go get student loans to do it. And now I'm in massive debt and I don't need the degree to get hired anyway. So college is losing the public relations battle because for decades and decades and decades in this country, it is, oh, you got to go to college or you're a loser. These kids are waking up. I shared a story, I think, last week on this show. Kid in Washington State goes to welding and ironworking school where he's in the classroom 2 days a week, on the job 3 days a week. He's 1 year out of high school and he's making $48,000 a year. He expects to make $55,000 next year. That kid ain't a loser, folks. So, very interesting to see the education ROI, return on investment, how it's affecting jobs. All right. I got time to cover this really quick. All right. Let's go ahead. I want to play this. This is increasingly happening in the world. This is a viral TikTok from a teacher who quit her job and went to Costco. Watch this.
I used to be a teacher. Now I work at Costco. This is my first ever year not having a winter break. And how do I feel? I feel great. Just worked Christmas Eve. Here's some cookies. Also, my manager gave me this cute Costco backpack. And, yeah, I just worked 7 days straight, including Christmas Eve, and I feel fine. As a teacher, it was like I was just surviving every moment. And that by the time I got to Christmas break, I was so exhausted that I was literally sick. So, yeah, feels pretty good to not be a teacher at this time. I can elaborate more if people are genuinely interested. I've been working retail for this full season in my first year not teaching, and I've never had this type of energy or everything is better. I can't believe that I ever felt so limited, that I ever thought that I couldn't do something else. I am better now than I have been in my livable memory.
That video went viral. Maggie Perkins is the teacher, but here's the sad thing. She told Stuart Varney on Fox News that she had a love for teaching. It was the other parts of the job that caused her to be overwhelmed and in turn burn out. And you hear her described about being sick. You know why she was sick and to the point of being burned out? Because she couldn't teach. The current state of education in America is an absolute dumpster fire. The National Education Association, their own data, said last year that they expected as high as 52% of their members to walk away from teaching. Just like this lady, Maggie Perkins, who walks away from her job, 8 years teaching, and she's talking about a job at Costco like it's Shangri-La. Now, I'm not knocking jobs at Costco. I love Costco. Don't get me started on how much I love Costco. But this is a woman who said, I still loved teaching, but I could no longer do it in the environment that I was in. I was physically sick. Now, let me just paint the picture for those of you that may feel a little cynical about what she said. Because I've talked to teachers. I've talked to over 50 teachers in the last year on Zoom calls, and I just interview them, and I ask them to describe what's going on, what's broken, what they would do to fix it, and why. Now, I want you to just imagine for a moment, okay, maybe a little cartoon scene. Cartoon character walks into a room, and all of a sudden, all of the plates and the bowls and everything that's breakable start to fall off one at a time. And maybe the cartoon character goes over and catches one. And then they see another one fall off, and they go over to catch that one. And they kind of go, okay, I caught the two. And then they all start falling off. And it just, what happens? The character becomes paralyzed. It's impossible. You can't catch it all. It's a disaster happening in front of you. You know it's wrong. You know it shouldn't be happening, but you can't do anything about it. That's real anxiety. Gripping fear combined with soul-crushing discouragement. That's the ultimate cocktail of despair. This is what teachers are facing. They come in every day and they feel like they can't catch everything off of it. And after a while, it gets so overwhelming that it becomes a mental, emotional, and physical, soul-crushing experiment because you just go, it's on fire, but I can't put it out. And that's where burnout happens, and so this teacher leaves. You know why? Let me describe what's happening to our teachers. Because some of you need to wake up. And there's a challenge coming to we the people in a moment. But let me describe what's happening. Because I have teachers call this program all the time. And they feel confused. And the reason they feel confused is because they have a deep-seated desire to instruct and to teach and to guide our greatest resource, which is the young people that are sitting out here watching my show today. They quite literally are our future. And the men and women who desire to serve them and guide them feel this unbelievable confusion and guilt because they want to walk away, but they don't want to leave the kids, but they can't keep it up any longer. It's a real, serious, cultural problem, and it's fixable. But let me describe what's going on to those of you teachers out there that are feeling some guilt, because I want to set the teachers free, because I'm pro-teacher, and I'm pro-administrator that's dealing with all this crap too. Now, if I place my hand on my heart, those of you who are listening to the program, I've got my right hand over my heart, and if I'm quiet and I'm not talking live on the air, I can feel my heart. I can feel it right now. All I have is a denim shirt on. If I press against my chest, all of us can feel our heart. Now, here's what happens. If I start to put on a heavy coat, and maybe 2, maybe 3 heavy coats, I'm going to get to the point where I know where my heart is, and I can press in, but I no longer feel my heart. Why? The layers of the coat or the layers of blanket would separate my hand to the point that I can no longer feel my heart. Now, I know my heart's in there. I know it's beating, but I can't feel it. Can I say to you that this is what's going on with our precious teachers and school administrators that are trying their best? They have a heart. Their heart still beats for their students. But because of all of the bureaucracy, the helicopter parents, oh boy, now I'm gonna piss off some parents. You're a helicopter parent, mom and dad, because you won't let your teacher teach your student because you're so worried about how everything's going to come across and your kid screwing up and your kid not doing what they should be doing is an indictment on you, and you just ought to let the teacher teach them. And so we've got all these kids that are coming out of high school that have never tasted failure because the helicopter parents won't let the teacher fail the student. I know this because I talk to teachers. So don't get mad at me, mom and dad. Actually, I don't care if you get mad at me. Maybe it'll wake you up. So you got parental pressure coming in. You got politician pressure and all their woke policies and just stupid crap. And so you got teachers and administrators that can't actually teach. They've been trained for years to do something and they're not allowed to do it. And we wonder why we're falling behind. What we're doing is we're teaching to a standardized test, which is all a political racket anyway. Well, we want to check on the achievement of the children. Hey, we had a concept long before standardized tests that did that. You know what it was? It was a report card. It was a parent-teacher meeting. Standardized test. You know what I'd do with every standardized test if I could? If I was a secretary of education for one day, you know what I'd do? I would literally take all standardized tests that have ever been printed, or I would take all the computers that they're on and I'd do the biggest bonfire ever in Washington, D.C. And you watch the children and you watch the teachers and you watch the parents celebrate. Because I'm going to tell you, the standardized test has created more anxiety for kids than anything else in school. Hey, by the way, I got 3 kids. When did we want our kids to be standard? I don't want my kid to be a standard. You know why? Because none of my 3 kids are standard. They're all freaking unique. And all these young people out there, I don't want them to be standards. I want them to be uniquely who they were created to be. So I don't care if some of you struggle to get a C+ in math, because I got news for you. You'll hire somebody one day to do the crap that's involved with that math class. I don't want any of you to be well-balanced, because if you're well-balanced, you aren't focused on the thing that God created you to do very, very well. Balance is overrated. I suck at math and science. Suck. Do you all think I need it right now? No. I dropped college algebra 8 times. I'm a college dropout. That'll really freak out your parents and your teachers. But I'm doing what I was created to do. And so parents, we better wake up, because I'm going to come back to what we, the people, can do. You have 2 options, parents, to pull your kid out of the matrix. Either you put them in a different type of a schooling situation, and some of you can't do that. So I realize that. So you either homeschool them or put them in a different kind of an educational environment where they can actually learn and the teachers are allowed to teach. Or you change the system by voting all these local politicians, school board members, your congressman, your senator, send them all packing. Because don't tell me in the greatest country in the world that we can't figure out our education system. We can't figure out a way to let our teachers teach and to let our kids figure out which way they want to go and where they want to go and how, and teach them for that. We're putting out assembly line kids who are test takers, not pathfinders. And that is a 5-alarm crisis. We, the people, can stand up and do something about it.